Welcome back to Persephone Says. I have been processing in therapy why I suck so hard at female relationships. And what better way to really dive into the paint than to talk to myself for the next 30 minutes about what the hell is going on and how I arrived here. And so this isn't an isolated incident, meaning I think a lot of women go through this as well. Let's back up. If you haven't listened to a couple episodes, the Munchausen by proxy episode or the 2024 was the worst year of my life episode, you might want to do that because a lot of what I'm going to share is tied to my mommy issues and also how I've kind of allowed that to roll into how I am in friendships and relationships, particularly with women. I think everything is like cause and effect. And for sure, there has been an impact on friendships. You know, I think how I've always operated in friendships, and I've been really processing this, doing deep work in therapy, as I said, is that when I have a friendship, I am super, super vulnerable, but also like pour out both from like my family side of things. And then also there's like no limits or boundaries, period, which is honestly like probably where things go sideways. So by that, I mean, when I love, I'm loving with my entire heart and soul. If someone calls me and they need something, I am dropping everything that I'm working on in order to have that conversation, in order to be there for my friend. And again, I've always kind of been like that since I was a little kid. So I have been thinking like, why have I started to operate like that? Why was I always seeking approval? Why have I always been seeking approval when in every other facet of my life, seemingly, I feel confident enough where I'm giving myself the approval. I'm a confident person. So like, where's that coming from? Right. And why do I seem to just like get it wrong in this one space? And thinking back to high school, and that's, by the way, not to say that I don't have some great female relationships, but I am in a state of being more reserved. We'll talk about it. As early as I can remember, that's how I've been. As early as I can remember, I've also tried to pursue friendships that were like kind of not aligned with values or not aligned with like just how they moved in life. Like some girls that I was friends with in high school, they were kind of mean. And I wasn't mean by proxy, but they were just kind of bitchy girls in high school, right? Where they were super bossy and like wanted to control the friendship or whatever. And I was like, no, whatever you say. And if I'm really honest with myself, I kind of carried that through my life up until like somewhat recently. Kind of last year is when I feel like that stopped, because it happened so many times last year that I had to hit the stop button, almost like hit the eject button, if I'm being honest. If I'm, again, being completely honest with myself, which I am always here when I'm on a mic, as I'm evaluating my friendships in college, I often found myself friends with people, again, who like it just didn't really make sense, or I wanted to help them because I found like maybe they didn't have a great stable household, like family life. And as chaotic as my life has been, my dad has always provided such stability for me, so that it was like, okay, you don't have that. Come over to dinner with my stepmom and my dad. Like, you know, what's mine is yours. I ended up finding myself in so many situations in college where my dad was paying for everybody or specific people all the time. And the reverse wasn't happening. Not that that was my expectation. It's just like, there is a point, right, where it's like, maybe I'm doing too much. And I would continuously hit that point. I found myself in situations where the women around me, I don't think they even really liked me, which is really hard for me to actually stomach in this moment, because I feel like I've taken so much time this year in particular to just evolve forward. But again, I'm being my purest self here. I was too much. I was considered too much in my sorority, like doing too much, or just on a different trajectory, right? Like I've always been the person who's super dedicated at the time to school, super dedicated to my internship, super dedicated to my job, super focused on something, and just having a different regimen than everybody else, which by the way is cool. I don't expect my friends to be exactly like me. In fact, they shouldn't be. It's boring. But the way you move through life really, and who you surround yourself with, really does color and shape who you are and how you look at things. I mentioned a friendship breakup that there was 3 last year. 3 massive, but massive stabs to the heart that honestly feel like deaths. One in particular was a sister. I mean, they were all like sisters, but I'm evaluating how did I get to that point? Obviously, what is my responsibility in the friendship or relationship? But as I've been unraveling this, I've realized they all kind of have the same underpinnings that I just didn't want to fully acknowledge or admit. And so here we are. That common thread is that the friendship started where it was disproportionate, meaning that friend was more experienced. Some of them were further along in their careers. Some of them were in my mind, above me, if that makes sense, or just ahead of me. That's not how I just have to say, that's not how I saw them at the time. But if I'm looking at things, hindsight, right? Monday morning quarterbacking this, they were further along in different parts of their life than I was in that moment when I met them. By the way, I didn't meet them all last year. It just so happened that they all unraveled last year. For the most meaningful one, she was my boss and at a few moments in my career. And I think that it was very balanced for quite some time, even though obviously that already makes it just where we are and who we are to each other, would seemingly be off balance or off kilter. But it was very fair, and I thought equal forces in our friendship, until it wasn't. And I'm dancing around it. What happened? I think that for my friendship with her, there are certain people in my life that I find are not not movable figures. If you have your own army, there's certain people that there's layers to people, right? In your circle. This person was not someone that I would have ever dreamt of would have not been in my life, no matter what, no matter arguments, no matter what. But I think as I was building my business, especially when I moved here, something shifted she got married. Like things change. And I think I have to allow myself and also simultaneously forgive myself that it's okay for someone not to be forever in your life. I was not planning on like going here. I have to just say that out loud too. I was thinking that I was going to talk about this topically, but like it's actually not interesting if I do that. And honestly, it's not helpful. So our falling out was, I still am confused by it. It was one of the most painful things that has ever happened to me. And I think I shared that as that falling out was happening, I also had a miscarriage at the exact same time, like literally the exact same day. And I know that she doesn't know that. I doubt that she listens to this. But it was just like, you guys, it just felt like my world was melting. Because I do believe in having soulmates outside of just your spouse or your partner. I really believe that you can have soulmates can come in all sorts of different forms. Okay, so there's that one. And I don't even know if I can talk more about that one because it just like hurts too bad in this moment. I have also been transparent that I have found myself in a place where a lot of my relationships have stemmed from what I do and my work. And 2 relationships were client relationships where I think where I stood and where I faltered, frankly, is there is a point where I was so grateful for their support of me and my business because, like, no matter the size of my company, working with my team directly supports my family. Like, that's obvious, but sometimes I think people lose sight of that. And so for me, it's like so serious to me. These 2 people were supporting me, at first championing me, until the relationship seemed disproportionate. For one, they kept me close, and whenever they needed me, they would use me. And I was aware of it, but I didn't want to believe it. And I'm talking like took business secrets and used it, and I will leave it like that. Okay? In another, it was that I think I allowed this relationship to go to a point where, again, I'm like so grateful for the friendship, the business relationship. And in my mind, like I felt like I could separate those 2 things. But the asks and the takes and the like, it became so crazy where it was abusive to my team. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Honestly, in both instances, it became taking so much of me, my time, my team's time, that it was like, what the fuck is going on here? Just like the ways that people communicate, the ways in which they speak, the ways with which they speak about you when you're not in the room changed. And what I found was, and again, I just have to say this because this isn't how I view myself at all. But the bigger my business became, the weirder things got. I just have to say, the weirder things got, and the weirder the relationships got, the weirder the friendships became. And it just like spiraled, where one was literally took proprietary information and ran with it. And again, I'll leave it at that. It just is weird. Like I can't, but I let it get there, right? Like I am at the crux of all of these friendships. Like it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I let people take advantage. And I think, especially now that I feel like my life is in so much of a calmer place, I've talked a lot about my relationship with Julian and with Richard. And now I honestly surround myself with mostly gay men. And that is like an absolute conscious choice, because I feel like I can be my most honest, unfiltered self. And I'm also like, I almost feel like I've recoiled. Like I really do. I don't want to say that. I'm just going to say it. There's a lot of PTSD that I have with female friendships. And so I find myself like only sharing like up until a certain point, or I can talk business all day long with someone, but anything past that, I'm just like pretty hesitant to share. And maybe that's how I should have always been operating. I think that's the conclusion that I've come to, is like, maybe I should have always been like that. And maybe everyone else moves like that. And I just like poured my heart out on the table and just like kept doing that for every new cool, shiny friendship that I had, period. I even started to think about some other friendships that I had in college, because again, like when I really think about when was it at its worst, the past several years plus college. High school, I was more of an introvert. My best friend from high school, Tara, I talk about her all the time here. Like she is still my numero uno, and she's like bobbed and weaved with me. I don't know. We've evolved together. I think about this one friendship that I had where, again, this girl had not so stable of a family. We were roommates, and I guess she looked through my phone and thought I was talking about her, which, by the way, if you haven't picked this up about me, like if I have a problem, I'm just going to say it to your face so that we can like move past it, and that's it. Take it or leave it. Like that's just how I've operated. I think it's easier that way. And for as long as I can remember, that's how I've moved. So she looked through my phone, super weird, right? Like we're in college. What are you, my fucking boyfriend? Like so weird. And she thought that I was writing something about her. And we had just moved into an apartment together. And she kind of like, I will never forget this. I think I had just graduated college too. It was like my first place. In fact, it was. And she said something like, just so you know, like I looked through your phone and I heard that you said this, and comes charging at me. And I remember scooping my little dog and running as fast as I could because she was coming to choke me. Like, what? The week before, I mean, she was at my dinner table. I think we were celebrating Easter together. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. But things like that have happened to me. Weird things like that have happened to me more times than I honestly care to admit. And I remember running to my car. Like, she jumped on top of the hood of my car. And I remember just like not thinking, but thinking so quickly, where I locked the door. And thank God. And she was like punching my window. Never heard from her since. I have another very long-standing friendship of someone who, I mean, we were so close from 11 till 22. I only remember that because I met her when I lived in Boston, and our friendship stopped the moment I got engaged, which, like, I was engaged at 22. Ew, yuck. It's like a child bride. Worked out for me, thankfully, but don't recommend that generally. Her boyfriend wasn't able to get a job in Massachusetts. And so Eddie got him a job in DC, and he lived with my parents for 9 months. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I find myself in these situations, or I can't say I find myself. I have placed myself in these situations where I'm giving so much, and it's like impacting my family, myself, all these things. It ended really poorly because he was not treating my parents very nicely, and I said something to her, and she never spoke to me again. She was supposed to be at my wedding. I think I am recovering from having a bad picker, not in men, in women. I don't think I've ever said that out loud. But that's it. Like, you can't have so many. I mean, I would hope that not that many people have experienced that many like friendship breakdowns that have been catatonic, honestly. Only with women, never with men, only with women. And to be honest with you, even listening to this, even admitting all of these things, like I would be judging me too. But all I'm going to say is I think it's very largely a product of very deeply wanting to be loved, like very deeply wanting to be loved, very deeply wanting to, I don't want to cry. Be accepted by women. It's even harder when you're an only child because like you don't have anybody to balance you out, I guess. Fuck, I really didn't want to I don't really want to cry. I've shared that I have had multiple people work for me where I've like brought them too close. Like I've treated them I've pulled them in too close because I wanted more for them than they were capable of. And I wanted to, I don't want to say save, but like help lift up. I think that's always been my motive, is like wanting to be loved, wanting to be accepted, and like, how can I lift you up? Because together we will rise. That's always how I've approached every business relationship, every friendship that has come out of a business relationship. Honestly, every friendship that I've ever had, because I really believe that. Like, if I can help you, propel you, we're all going to win. Right? Like, I don't know. But as a result, it's just backfired every fucking time. Like, every fucking time with minimal exceptions. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if this episode has a real direct conclusion. I think it's okay to allow for people to come in and out of your life, knowing that there will be times, there's that saying, like, some people are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I hate that fucking saying. I think it's so stupid. But I do think that there are people who are, like, as I said earlier, they're pieces of you that are not mobile. Like, you cannot move them around, period. Like, they do not go to your outer circle ever. And I do feel fortunate that I feel like I've found those people so deeply and so closely, and they continue to show up, and we're in a place of like more balance. But it is not without a lot of heartbreak, and it is not without also feeling like I really have to be so reserved. Like, I feel like I have to hold back more than I've ever felt that before. And frankly, I love this medium because I feel strongly that you're opting in to have this dialogue with me or listen to me talk to myself. And it creates a connection with people. But, I also think that it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to repair certain parts that have been shattered or heartbroken. And I think, I don't want to say it's weird that that's where that at this age, like I'm still trying to figure this piece of my life out, but this is where I'm at. Like I'm just trying to find a way to be authentic and genuine and unfiltered without without giving so much for my heart or my time or my whatever or my peace to be trampled upon and or overtaken or abused, honestly, like because I feel that that's almost like the residual of all of last year's trauma is I felt like there was no one. That's not fair. The majority of the women in my life who I would have leaned on to get through those tough times were gone. So, again, I don't think that there's a perfect way of ending this conversation, but I think it is okay for you to evaluate who you keep close and, who you're fully honest with. And it's okay to have different layers of friendships with people. And yeah, this is where I'm at now. I'm going to keep talking about it. I hope that it connects with you. And until next time, see you soon.